Hello everyone, this is my weekly game. I played this one yesterday at the chess club during the 13th round of the club championship, and I was playing white, and my opponent was someone that I have played before against him a few times with white, and every time he plays something different, so that's uh, every time a surprise what he will play, and this time he surprised me by playing e5, the Budapest gambit. I took the pawn on e5 and went with his knight to g4, and now I did something that is actually not very good to do. I don't know any theory about this Budapest gambit. What I did is I played e4, but the bad thing about this move is that the light square bishop get trapped here, so it's difficult to develop it later. Now I had a look at the database, and I found that many games are continuing with knight to f3, and the idea is to play e3 and later, after exchanging here on e5 a few times, play the move b3, and that's a good idea because then the dark square bishop can be placed on b2 in this long diagonal, and actually both bishops have now the freedom to move and develop. So this is a much more healthy setup than what I did in the game. So this is something to remember for me, that this way of handling this Budapest gambit is a better idea for white. I'll return to the game now. I played e4 and he took on e5. I played knight to f3. Another option would be to play f4, but well, the fact is that before I went to the club I wasn't feeling very well physically. I was having a headache and I was doubting whether to go or not, but at the last moment I decided to play, but I wasn't feeling very well, so I wanted to keep the game as easy as possible. That's why I simply chose for this developing moves. Bishop b4, bishop d2, d6, and here I played a3, wanting to simplify the position a little more. My bishop on c3 is quite well placed, and he castled, and here I exchanged one more piece. Well, as you can see, I'm actually diminishing the tension of the position. This is something that I normally wouldn't do, but just as I said, since I was not feeling very well physically, I wanted to simplify, and I actually would have been happy if this game would end in a draw. And when it retook with the d pawn, I was seeing that the pawn structure is symmetrical, so the draw chances become bigger. There are not many imbalances in the game, in the position. The only imbalance is actually that I have two bishops and he has a bishop and a knight, and that's the material imbalance. And the non-material one is that he has castled. He's further in his development than I am. I still have to castle my king. I played bishop now to e2, and I expected him to play queen to g5. Now my plan was to then castle simply, and if he would play bishop to h3, then defend the g2 pawn by bishop to f3. Now this is actually better for black, since he can take hold of this d file and play later the knight to d4, and here I have to take on d4, because otherwise he takes on f3 and then mates on g2 with the queen. So I would have to take on d4, and after he takes d4, black has a better position. It's probably would become an ending with a good bishop for black and a bad bishop for white. Well, something similar happened actually in the game, but in a different way. After I had played my bishop to e2, didn't play queen to g5, but he played rook to e8, preparing knight to d4. And after retaking, after exchanging here, he would have this rook on this half-open file. That's the idea, and that's actually exactly what happened. I cancelled. He played the knight to d4, and here I took on d4, and that was a difficult decision, because then I accept actually to give away my good bishop and stay with this light square bishop that is not a good one. On the other hand, I wanted to get rid of this d4 knight that has a strong outpost there, and I wouldn't like it to keep it there. So actually the two moves that I could consider were f4 and bishop takes d4, and I chose to take on d4 and accept the fact that I have a slightly worse ending. Bishop d3, c5, and now I thought about playing my queen to h5 with the idea of attacking this pawn and also threaten to advance my e-pawn with a threat on h7 with the bishop and the queen. But I decided to play b4 now. I did that because I thought that after queen to h5 it would be good for black to play queen to b6, defending the c5 pawn and also attacking my b2 pawn, and I wasn't sure if this would be a good idea for me. That's why I played b4 in this position. b4. I played the queen to e7. I continued the rook b1, and now he played b6. And actually, by playing b6, he's more or less telling me that he doesn't want to imbalance the position more, because he could have taken on b4 with the c pawn, c takes b4, and then after I take back, then we have more imbalances, since he has the possibility of creating a pass pawn here, because he has a majority 2 against 1 here. But on the other hand, this one becomes a little bit weak, although I don't have a dark square bishop to attack it, and I also don't have a knight, so maybe that's not that bad. But anyway, the signal by playing b6 is actually telling me that he wants to take it easy. Now I made a mistake. I took on c5, and in my visualization of the variations, I thought that if he would take on c5 I could play rook to b5, but I didn't see in my mind that the e3 pawn would be hanging then, so then he can simply take on a3. Then I could go with my rook to d5, but still this is better for black because he has these passed a pawns. So that means that this idea of me of after queen takes d5 playing rook to b5 would not be a good idea. So luckily for me, my opponent didn't take with the queen, but he took with the pawn, and this once again told me that he didn't want to imbalance the position. He wanted to keep it safe for himself. I went with queen to a4. Bishop b7 was played. I played f3 to defend this e4 pawn, and then he played f5. I went with my f rook to e1. He took on e4. I took with the bishop, and now there is no other option for black than to take this bishop, because I have two strong threats. One to take here, and another one is to take here with attack on the queen. So he takes on e4. I take back with the rook, and in this position I offered him a draw, and he accepted within a few seconds. The position is quite equal now. It's a little bit better for black, this ending, because of this pass pawn, but it's not that clear because the white pieces are very active. All the three pieces are very active here. So according to Fritz, also the position is totally equal, and I was, well, looking at the situation and my physical condition at that moment, I was happy with the draw. So that was the game, and well, the interesting thing is the opening for me, to have found that this e4 is not a good idea, but the correct way of playing it is developing this e3 idea and then b3, and developing the bishop to b2. That's something to remember for me. And well, that was it. Okay, I'll leave it to this, and see you next time on YouTube. Bye bye.